Man, welcome back. This is another episode of Redefining Wealth with Jamar James, the Levels of Wealth, the podcast. And today I want to, bring on one of my longtime friends, and we're going to talk about this banking crisis, this conspiracy that's going on in the world. I think it's a global conspiracy going on, and so we have our conspiracy hats on. And so today we're going to talk about, what's going on in the world, what is going on with banking, what is going on with the finance. And I want to bring my guest on, Mr. Brian. Come on in.
Good morning, brother.
We both got our hat on today.
It's one of those days. It's crazy news cycles year, I guess.
Right. We going into April, and it's a spring, it's a new birth. But what I see in the economy is something new is going on, and I don't think we've ever seen this before. They just announced BRICS, where Russia and China, Brazil, India, they've all gotten together, and they said that they're going to create their own currency.
And I heard that China and Russia are banding together to change the global oil from dollar to the yuan.
I think that's just one aspect. I think people are worried about another World War III. And to me, we're already in a World War III. Like, it's just not being fought with men and weapons. It's being fought with technology, and allies are joining together the same way that World War I and World War II. But there's a financial war going on. There is a health scare going on. There's a bunch of different political agendas, and this battle is being fought, and the people, are some of the pawns in it, right? And so when I look at, when we talk about the elite, there's elite bad and elite worse, right? There's we're talking about wealth here, but there's a small majority of the population that owns the majority of the world. And when we start talking about money and we start talking about currency, whoever controls the currency and whatever government's been in place in the past, they've owned, the government's implemented their own country, own currency. So when you have countries getting together saying, hey, we're going to create our own currency, that's basically a control mechanism. And they're saying, hey, we're going to control, our people are going to use our currency, and we're going to have allies, and either you're going to have to use it or you're going to miss out.
So, Jamar, you have your fingers on the pulse of the financial industry much more than I. Are these new currencies going to be backed by, say, gold?
So, I think all currencies, when it comes down to it, have always been backed by belief, right? And if people believe that the dollar is getting weak, and they start losing faith in the government, and they stop believing in the government, and they stop believing in, the belief of the military that can protect them, they're going to go whatever currency that's being that's the strongest,
that they believe in more.
Yeah, so I don't think it matters with the gold. I think it matters. I mean, like, we're on an island somewhere, and the warriors on that island, and they said, hey, the banana peels are the currency, right? And you bring dollars there, and nobody wants the dollars because the warriors on that island said, hey, we value banana peels here.
Yep.
It's the belief of the people.
That's right.
Right. And so right now, I think a lot of our people in America, they're starting to get nervous about the banking. They're starting to get nervous about the currency. They're starting to get nervous that if the government can pull them out of this. So, I see, there is like one of the largest withdrawals last week. People were pulling it, that's what happened to SVB, the Silicon Valley Bank, is that the CEOs, they got wind of, the bank, was trying to borrow funds, and everyone rushed the bank and pulled it out. So they lost belief that this bank was going to be solvent, and it caused it.
And you know what's craziest about this? We both know and consider Eric Bell a friend. He was talking about this happening years ago.
We all seen it coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what exactly did my great friend Eric Bell, what did he tell you?
Just there's going to be another crash. People are going to lose faith in the dollar, and he was like, diversification is king.
Right.
And I think with our background, you and I both have diversified for a long, long time
Right.
because we would rather have a handful of everything than all of something that's no longer trusted.
Yeah. And so one of the things he talked about was 2026. Eric, he always mentioned that 2026 is the time that the tax rebates and everything that Trump put in place would expire, and it would be, pretty dire.
Right.
So, this is a new time. I mean, when I start talking about the mastermind and the community that we put together of like-minded individuals, people start saying that conspiracy theories, it's not really that's actually taking a term and making it negative, right? When you say someone is a conspiracy theorist, it's like, well, what's happening? Because economic majors, have they pinpointed, what's going to actually happen? If I said if they knew what was going to happen, they would be making billions of dollars in trading and wouldn't be getting a salary. So it's all opinion.
Right.
What's going to happen, right? And right now, I think humans, we have to look at the sentiment. Real wealth has been able to take advantage of the opportunities. And one opportunity that I see is that if you had to pull all your money out of the bank, where will people put it? People can't say just gold and silver anymore because they found people that were buying gold and they never actually took physical grip of their gold, and they realized it was fake. They had a warehouse full of rocks. All right. And we're in a digital world where everything is digital now. And so the real power is, to me, community, influence. And even with wealthy individuals, it's our network, because we give the value, we give the currency value.
That's right.
Our belief. So, one of the theories that I have is that I believe that we're moving into a new world order. Right. Part of the new world order is to have one currency, right? One currency, one government. And I think the BRICS is trying to divide that. Right. When we're in COVID, pretty much all the countries, besides a few, kind of fell in line because of the fear.
Yep.
Right. Kept all the people in, locked their borders. It's almost like the world imprisoned themselves. And you had no free will to even catch COVID. It was like, hey, put the mask on, don't be outside, herd immunity. Yep. And the whole world bought into it.
That's right.
So, right now, the world is bought into, the entire currency, and it's starting to change now. The dollar is not just the only option. And so with Bitcoin, right? With Bitcoin, it is giving people the power.
That's right.
So what do you think about that?
I 100% agree. And the fact that Bitcoin has had, in my opinion, a slow adoption, but the companies behind coins are making it easier to transact. And I think that's going to remove barriers from more people getting involved. And, this is a podcast, and your show can be claimed on a RSS 2.0 app, and people can actually send you Satoshis for you producing the content you're producing on the value for value model, and that's just, that's cool. You can buy from Microsoft with Bitcoin. You can buy from companies without having, that Visa card connected to a wallet, or you can have the Visa card connected to a wallet. It's, as it gets easier, more and more people are going to trust it more than the dollar.
Right. And so even Bitcoin is fine, right? I've seen that Bitcoin is going to be exchanged by people, people that's worried about crypto in the future. People give it value.
Yep.
But the banking, right? I'm a trader. And when I seen the banking was having this crisis, I tried to short the banks to capitalize. They froze the system and stopped all trading on banking.
Imagine that.
Imagine that. Where so it was a control thing. Hey, we're going to save the banks and we're just going to stop trading on it.
Yep.
Secondly, the banks that were mostly impacted were the ones that were dealing in crypto. We call that Operation Chokehold 2.0, right? Where they're basically just choking out the crypto companies and getting them under control. They said they will take over all your customers, all the deposits, but not the crypto companies.
Wow.
That's what happened when Silicon Bank was taken over, right? They said, hey, we'll transfer all the customers, but you can't do any business. You can't take any of the crypto business because the people are using and starting to adopt the crypto, the Bitcoin. And now the other countries are starting to see the same thing. And they says, hey, you know what? We're going to create our own currency because you have too much control.
Yep.
Right? We're going to deal in oil. We're going to transact amongst each other in this other currency to kind of balance out the power. And right now, so think about that the banks, a lot of people haven't been able to buy crypto with the banks. It just stopped. Oh man, those are alarms, guys. We're still in the trading.
Trigger alert.
Trigger alert. So they've stopped. But imagine in the future that Visa says, hey, you know what? You can't move crypto over to Visa or MasterCard. Right? And Visa and MasterCard is a private company, the same way that Facebook and Amazon is a private company.
Right.
But the government is able to say, hey, you know what? Let's put a ban on this right now. All right. And so this makes it this is still, it's going to hurt Americans, but globally, they're still accepting it. So part of that thing you're talking about with wealth and diversification, and for anybody who's wealthy, there's still ways to move crypto, even outside of banking, outside of MasterCard and Visa. And that is the knowledge that I think, gives people more power is, do they understand that there's other options and there's alternatives?
Right.
What do you think the safest asset to put if you put all your money out in the bank, where would you put it?
Personally, I think I would spread it around,
Right.
And part of that would be just, I don't want to put that tinfoil hat on, but
we have it on.
I need to be able to feed my family. I need to be able to protect my family. I think having some gold, some silver, things that are worth something in a bartering situation would be best. But, I do have different currencies across the blockchain. And it's funny because I check my bank account more than I check my wallets. It's like, I know I guess deep down, I have more faith in crypto than I do the dollar. And that's the first time I've really put two and two together. It's like, yeah, my crypto's there. It's cool. I've got some on a, cold storage device and life's good. And every once in a while I'll log in. I'll be like, oh, cool.
Right. It's moving up.
Yeah.
All right. And so, I believe similarly, but, I see so many wealthy guys in my environment. We're traders. So we trade the markets, but, we also believe in crypto, believe in stocks. A lot of people are moving their some of the funds and equities. We're moving it into crypto. And then a lot of guys are buying real estate still, right? Because they have a hard asset, land. And then
I've got one thing to say about that though. That land can be taken from you like that if you're not paying your property tax with the US dollar,
Right. Well, so a lot of people want to have an asset that you can borrow against.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then you have other guys that's buying whole life insurance policies, right? And they're dumping the money. They believe the bank will go down, but they don't believe the insurance companies will. Because, and that's a tricky situation because we can talk about the conspiracy. We can talk about BRICS, but we also can talk about if America ever went bankrupt. Right. So one of the theories is that we're printing out so much money, and these countries start getting their own currency. What would stop America to say, hey, you know what? We're not paying anybody back. We're going digital, and we're going to get rid of the cash. We're going to get rid of everybody's debt, and we're going to give you a new wallet.
Yeah.
Like,
it's interesting. And I'm sure you're familiar with the U.S. debt clock.
Yeah, all the time. We take a look at it. Every citizen is worth, I think right now, on average, every person that's born is worth 14,000 just right off the bat.
It's crazy, isn't it?
And then if you work 98,000. Right?
Insane, man.
So, yeah, I mean, if you think about it, how many Americans would say, "Oh, I'm good with that." Here, transfer all my money into this digital wallet, wipe out all my debt, and we can start out fresh together as one. Nobody has any debt anymore. Everybody has their money replaced that they had in their bank account in a digital wallet, and we're not paying any of the countries back. They have a new currency. They don't want our dollar, so it's not worth anything.
I mean, dude, in my wildest imagination, just bad things can happen. First of all, the government in control is just how many times was your paycheck screwed up in the Marine Corps?
And thankfully we had the AES card where we could borrow against until they fixed it. But pay was messed up a few times, right? You either get not enough, or you would have one big lump sum, and sometimes they say, hey, we gave you too much.
Well, taking it back,
or you had to give it back.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of scary. I mean,
but we're digital now, though.
Government and trusting people in the government is just a hard pill to swallow, especially now.
Well, it's the button, right? Now with digital, they can just stop it and go anytime. So people would like that. People that wanted to get the COVID checks and they wanted their money right away. It could be one-to-one now. You have a wallet and it's one-to-one, and you'll have a debit card. The state of California starts sending out debit cards. Right? If you didn't get that, I think they had a check for middle income or something like that, and they just send guys out debit cards with the funds already on it. So we're going to interesting times. The conspiracies and what it is, and I want people to think positive of it. If they had the right information, they can take advantage. No matter what happens, whether we go to a new currency, whether other countries globally, understanding that we're just in America and there's a big world out there now. So even having crypto or understanding how to move around, would be beneficial.
And that's why I enjoy what you do, because when hard times come, you can either put the woe is me hat on and just wallow in sorrow, or you can say, hey, there's going to be an advantage here. Let me position myself to make the most of this situation. If we can't control the situation, at least we can control ourselves within the situation. And that's what you teach. And it's phenomenal.
There's always two economies. There's economy that's external, outside economy that you can't control. And then you have an internal economy that you have full control of how you see things and how you move around.
Right.
And that is a wealthy trait, to be able to say, hey, no matter what the economy externally is doing, there's an internal economy that I can take advantage of.
That's right.
And so with that being said, we gave the people something to think about. If you weren't able to access your funds, if you weren't able to use Visa and MasterCard, what options would you have? And on that note, I'd like to introduce and invite people in. If you have friends and family that wants to know about, alternatives to banking, that they have their tin hat on, that they're thinking about these different conspiracies and they want a place of positivity and a place of growth and options. I set up a link, dcgtrial.com. You can actually access and come in and join our environment, free of charge. And we'll basically get you learning and get you started into at least having the alternatives where you can actually navigate around this new world, this new economy. On that, until next time, thanks, Brian, for joining in. This is Brian and Jamar James on the business of wealth, redefining wealth. You guys can find me. All right, let them know where they can find you, Brian.
Dude, almost everywhere. I would say it's safe to assume as of the today when we're recording this, you're on all major podcast players. There were 2 yesterday that you weren't on. One of them doesn't get a lot of use. The other one does. We're just waiting for that check mark. But Google, Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible. So
that's where they can find me. Where can they find you?
Dude, if they find you, they'll find me.
They'll find you.
Yeah, I run Sitch Radio. It's at sitchradio.com, SITCH radio.com. We're here to help you tell your story.
All right. Hey, thanks a lot. And you guys can schedule and find me, jamarjames.io. And until next time, redefining wealth, the business podcast, business of wealth. Jamar James, talk to you guys later.